Hello everyone, my name is Andrew Muzzo, and today I'll make a quick and easy pizza crust recipe I found online. It says that the prep time is roughly 10 minutes and it'll take 20 minutes to cook. I'm gonna use this dough for a chicken roll, which I'll serve with some fresh marinara that my mom made this morning. So we'll go through the steps. The first step will be to preheat our oven and start up the yeast. So I'm gonna pan over and we'll get that started. Okay, I apologize for the angle, but I'll be sure to show you everything in depth. So the recipe suggests that we put everything in a bowl, but I'm dividing this up into 2 portions worth, so I'm gonna just put it into mason jars. So we're gonna open this up. We're just gonna pour our yeast right in there. One for that, and one for that. The next step, after I pour this, is to add sugar. Now, we're gonna add the sugar because the sugar feeds the yeast. The yeast is a living thing, and in my research before starting this, that's what it all said. It's gonna give it that nice flavor. It's gonna feed the yeast and it will give it that nice doughy lifted consistency, and it'll produce a smell that you get from beer. Almost like an alcoholizing, fermenting type thing. So I'm gonna add the sugar and I'll be right back. Sugar. So this recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of sugar for each packet. So I'm gonna drop 2 of these in our water. There you go. Okay, perfect. We're gonna mix this up, and then we have to wait 10 minutes for the yeast to be fed. So as you can see here, the yeast is definitely starting to expand. It's getting fed by the sugar, and it's starting to bubble, and that's a great sign. So we're gonna give it like another 5 minutes. You can tell that the smell is pretty potent. It smells not of beer, but you definitely get that the yeast fermentation type smell off of it. Okay, so our next step says that we need to stir in flour, salt, and oil. First, I'm going to do 4 tablespoons of olive oil. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So that's good. And then we'll do 2 teaspoons of salt. Okay. That should do it. One. And so there is our olive oil and our salt. We're gonna add our yeast mixture into there. And then after that, we are gonna pour in our flour. This is gonna call for 5 cups of flour, and we're gonna slowly add it in. I have our dough hook on, and we're gonna add this in roughly 1 cup at a time. I'm gonna get a nice gentle stir going. And then here is cup 1. Our second cup. Third cup. Fourth cup. And lastly, our 5th cup. Okay, we're gonna let this mix. We're gonna beat it until it is smooth. Our dough is nice and smooth. I'm gonna show you guys. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so the next step says that we should pull it out and let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna cover this up and I'll show you guys once I'm done with that. After we're finished proofing, well, not proofing, but letting this sit and hang out, we are gonna get ready to bake. So here is our end result on our dough. I've taken the liberty into pulling this all out and cutting it because it seemed kind of boring, but came out this really beautiful consistency. And all I did was I just lightly floured this tabletop. So now that we've got our dough portioned out, I'm just gonna move it around and then I'm gonna roll it to get it nice and flat and even. Make sure your roller is pretty well floured. And we're just gonna even this out as best we can. After we've placed our cheese and our chicken, we're going to fold this as evenly as we can and then place it seam side down on a baking sheet. Okay, so I finished wrapping all these up and they're gonna go into the oven for about 20 minutes. We'll see till they get nice and golden brown. The cheese is melted on the inside. That's just my stove. But yeah, we'll check back shortly once these are baked off. Okay, our chicken rolls are done. I'm gonna flip the camera so I could show you just the first tray. I'll pull one off and then we can cut it open. Alright, get the chicken, cheese. Look at that. Perfect. Well, serve it with this. What do you think, Mom?
Ooh, wow.
Came pretty good, right?
Looks very delicious.
After reflecting on my project, I believe that cooking, baking, and other forms of food preparation are without a doubt a global media source. Everyone has to eat, and all people have exposure to food, even if they aren't the one cooking it. We utilize all of our senses to comprehend the medium in front of us. In her article, Sarah Pink discusses McLuhan and how he believes there is no such thing as a purely auditory, olfactory, or tactile source of media. This article also mentions how we alter the ratios at which we operate based on the form of media. With baking, I believe this is accurate. Our visual and olfactory senses are crucially important. Moreover, our auditory and tactile are slightly less so. The Pink article also discusses that McLuhan believes we alter the ratios involving our senses as we switch from media source to media source. This was discussed in the Pink article between pages 3 and 4. Pink will later contend that our senses actually work in tandem with one another, rather than separately and hierarchically as researchers have previously found. I really enjoyed this project. It's not too often that I get to do a hands-on thing like this, and it was cool. The artistic side of me really and truly came out. What made this so unique, particularly in my situation, with the whole cooking and baking situation, whatever you want to call it, is that it's so unique, but it's so broad. There's so many ways that people can express themselves and utilize food to tell a story, much like cooking, even just this chicken roll was. If we used the proper ingredients, and I'm not talking just about me, I mean in a broad sense, if whoever cooked whatever, if they use the right ingredients, if they cooked it too long, you'll be able to see that, or you'll be able to smell that. You'll be able to hear the sound of the water boiling before you put pasta in. Things like that. And being able to pull it apart with this perspective is pretty unique, and I think it's something not a lot of people think about. They don't think about every single individual component that goes into our perceptions of mediums. So yeah, I guess that's my main takeaway. I've really enjoyed doing this project. I would like to do it another time, but I would like to use a traditional media source next time, just to try and diversify my perspective and being able to tear everything apart and look at it as objectively as I can.